Okay, how in the hell you gonna let Ronald Exantis back on the streets? This man unalived a 6-year-old boy while he was sleeping and then claimed insanity to get off the murder charge. How does someone insane get off on good behavior? You're nutty. You don't have good behavior. They just gonna let this man run around the streets? 'Cause Lord knows there ain't no rehabilitation in the prison system. Trust me. And I thought there was a thing called white privilege. Obviously no more. And you wonder why innocent people are just getting unalived in the streets. Crazy motherfuckers out here getting let out of prison for no goddamn reason. Don't trust the justice system, people. Take matters in your own hand, because that's what I would do.
Hey my people, how are you guys doing? Let me hope you're doing great. Thank you so much for watching, and you are welcome to my channel. If you're new, please go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below. So guys, this is a very heartbreaking story. I just can't imagine a man who kills a 6-year-old innocent young boy going scot-free after serving only 7 years in prison, just getting off because, you know, he's been good. This is crazy. His sentence was 20 years old, and he should get 20 years old without possibility of parole or even a life sentence. This is ridiculous, and people are ranting. It's facing backlash. Whoever made this decision will have to think twice. It's crazy, guys. I just can't believe this story, but it is here and we're going to be talking about it. I'm going to share with you this story, and I will leave you with people's outrage and reaction.
To Versailles walked into the Tiptons' home and attacked the family in their sleep. Logan was killed, and his father and 2 sisters were injured.
He snaps, and he just stands up with me sitting on top of him, and he throws me across the room. 10, 15 feet, he throws me across the room and goes after her.
3 years later, in 2018, Exantis was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, but convicted of assaulting other family members. And just this month, October 1st, Exantis was released early from prison for good behavior.
It's infuriating that a 6-year-old was killed sleeping in his bed, and someone literally only did 10 years in prison, and he didn't even do the time for that. He did time for assault charges. It's just infuriating.
But the family says it isn't just anger they're living with. It's fear.
Me and my siblings and even my mom and dad, from here on out, we have the burden of making sure that he doesn't come back.
He told her he was going to kill every one of us. So now I've got to be on extra guard to protect my kids, because I will not lose another one. Not like this. I laid in bed. I gave up. I gave up on life. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everybody. I just wanted to die.
Everybody deserves a fighting chance to have justice for them, and it's not.
I've had my talks with God, because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
Well, bet you haven't heard anything about this story, have you? Has the news covered this at all? Do you know who this boy is? Do you know who this thing is? No? Well, let me fill you in. This is Logan Tipton, a 6-year-old boy who in the middle of the night had his life taken from him by this animal who repeatedly shoved a knife into his head so forcibly that the blade bent. Ronald Exantis, the perpetrator of this crime, 42 years old, was serving a 20-year sentence, but not because he was guilty of murder. In fact, jurors found him guilty of assault by way of insanity. So our judicial system is basically saying if you look a certain way and you take the life of somebody else who looks another type of way, that you could just claim insanity. And oh, it was just oopsie, you could just walk free now. What? Look, if the roles were reversed and the races were swapped, he wouldn't be getting out of jail early. He wouldn't have even been able to plead insanity. The media would have called for his head. There would have been riots in the name of the victim. But no, it doesn't fit the narrative, so you never heard of it.
This story is sick. A 6-year-old was killed in 2015 because somebody decided to break in his family home, go to the fucking kitchen, grab a knife, and stab him in the head so many fucking times that the knife goes fucking dull. Here's the fucking kicker though. 2018, they sentenced him. Get this, he's found not guilty for the reason of insanity. So okay, boom, how long does he spend there? Till 2025. Actually, he was just released October 1st. Why? Fuck mental health. If you do the crime, I don't care if where you at mentally. If there's not a place for you to be in a mental institution or in jail, you need to put the fucking dog down. To be 6 years old and your life taken by a fucking demon, a literal fucking demon, I don't care if you're crazy up here. And then for this person to walk away 7 years after a year, how gracious of them. They waited till he was a year older than the child was when he murdered him in cold blood. This is fucking unacceptable. Kentucky, this is fucking unacceptable. If you're not mad over this story, you're not human. Put the fucking dog down.
Just imagine waking up and seeing this man right here, inside your home, already covered with blood from stabbing one of your children to death. He then moves on to your daughter, and as you try to defend her life, he then viciously assaults you like a wild animal. This is Ronald Exantis, and that's exactly what he perpetrated on an innocent family back in 2018. And it cost this precious young boy, Logan Tipton, his life. And this young man took his last breaths in absolute terror as this spite-filled demonic monster attempted to butcher his entire family. And now, after stabbing numerous members of the family and murdering Logan, just 8 short years later, this murderer is walking free.
Back in 2018, Ronald Exantis was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity and guilty but mentally ill on assault charges. Investigators say Exantis broke into a Versailles home in December 2015 and killed 6-year-old Logan Tipton. Detectives found it was a random killing. Exantis had driven from Indianapolis and broke into the Tipton home while the family was sleeping. He also attacked Tipton's father and siblings, and they survived. Now, according to court records, Exantis was released yesterday after serving less than 7 years of his 20-year sentence. Records show that he is out on supervised parole, but that will end in June of 2026.
Yeah, you heard that correctly. This psychotic murderer was found not guilty by reason of insanity for the murder of the young child, but was found guilty of all of the other crimes of assault. Therefore, he was given a 20-year sentence and somehow qualified for early release, even though this young man, Logan Tipton, will never take another breath or ever see another sunrise again. His father, Dean, who was also assaulted that night attempting to defend his own family, informed the court and issued a threat to Ronald himself, saying it does not matter if he ever crosses paths with this murderer, he will end his life on sight. This is the sort of horrible position our faulty justice system puts families into. To let this psychopathic killer out early, end his parole after 1 year, leaving him completely unmonitored in the community, causes this good man right here to again have to put his own life on the line for the sake of his family. You tell me what you think about all this down in the comments.
December 6th of 2015, Ronald Exantis decided to break into a family's home, and when he broke into that home, he found this young boy. His name was Logan Tipton, and what Ronald decided to do was to drive a weapon into the young boy's head, and he eventually succumbed to his injuries. Now, his father and his sisters were also injured during this time, and of course he was tried, and he got 20 years by way of insanity, so they didn't give him more time. Now, unfortunately, with all of this going on, he's now on the streets free. He was released early, because of good behavior. And my question is that if someone could be convicted and they decide to be more lenient on them by way of insanity, well, if they're going to release him, doesn't that mean that he's no longer insane? And if he's no longer insane, shouldn't he be charged for the crime again? If it's something that is very atrocious, something that is very heinous, something that I just feel like, I don't know, does not up. Bottom line is I think our system is very broken, and I think that this needs to be addressed. But also, I think stories like this need to be shared. I think people need to hear these stories, because if more people hear these stories, then maybe somehow we can vote for change or fix it down the line. I don't know. But But this story is just disgusting. I can't believe this is happening. I know his father is suffering.
There you go. In 2015, this fellow here decided to drive 175 miles from Indianapolis, Indiana to Versailles, Kentucky. Got off the highway, picked a random house, broke into it, went upstairs, stabbed the sister in the back, drug her across the room. She woke up later as he's stabbing her 6-year-old brother over and over and over again, cutting his face open and everything else. Father comes running into the room with all the screaming and stuff that's going on, and the little boy pleading for his life. And he turns around and he starts attacking the father, stabs the father. The father gets him on the ground, holds him on the ground until authorities get there. He was just let out of prison on insanity, saying that he did enough time, 1 year supervision, get him out on the street. And the father says, all right, no justice for my family and my kid. I'll take care of it from here. I will find him. Now the father's on a manhunt, trying to find this guy. Released at minimum a decade early. And now the White House says they're getting involved in this to try to figure out why the hell a child killer is let free out on the streets. Just like the most recent case where the fella had 14 different charges against him and had a psychotic schizophrenia diagnosis. And the judge, that wasn't qualified to be a judge, let him go, and he gets on the train and takes the life of that Ukrainian woman. Enough. Enough with this. Our judicial system doesn't work for us at all. And it seems like color is becoming more and more of a factor in letting people go. And you guys say that there's no favoritism, there's no this, there's no that. I'm telling you, there's so many times in my life where I've seen it. It goes both ways, don't get me wrong. But lately, there's been a lot of this going on. And our judicial system does not care about us anymore. Why is this man out on the street? I hope the father finds him.
Recently in Indiana, a man named Ronald Exantis was released from prison after doing a 7-year sentence. But what Ronald did and who he did it to is why this story went viral. Check this out. In 2015, Ronald broke into a family's house. It was the house of Logan Tipton, a 6-year-old boy. Logan was sleeping in his room, and Ronald broke into the house, went to Logan's room, and stabbed him to death. Yeah, he stabbed to death a 6-year-old boy sleeping. So when Logan's father came to help him because he heard the commotion, Ronald stabbed up Logan's father. He didn't kill him, but he stabbed him up. And then when the sisters came to help the dad, 2 sisters, he stabbed the sisters too. Yeah. Unfortunately, 6-year-old Logan was the only one to pass away from the stabbing injuries. But Ronald was caught, and in 2018, he was tried and sentenced to a 20 to life sentence. Now get this, 20 to life. But because his family and the defense argued that he was mentally challenged and he had mental health issues, he didn't even have to do the 20 to life. He walked the murder off in 7. Yeah. This dude broke into this family's house who wasn't bothering nobody, minding their business. Killed a 6-year-old and only did 7 years for it, talking about he crazy and shit like that. Which a lot of families do when they relatives do horrible shit like this. All of a sudden the family want to come out, oh, he always had these issues. Well, why y'all didn't give him no fucking help?
What in the bloody fuck? And I'm doing my best to try not to cuss, and it's not for anybody else but myself, but this is absolutely disgusting dog shit. Fucking what? Dude kills a 6-year-old and actually gets to ever be free again? I don't give a fuck if you're insane. I don't care if you're schizo. I don't give a shit at all about any of that. I don't think that that's an excuse for murder. I don't think that's an excuse for sexual crimes. I don't think that's an excuse for fucking jaywalking. Right? This dude should be under the fucking jail. Anybody that harms a kid in any way should be no longer breathing. Let's just say that.
Since when was insanity enough to be able to walk scot-free after you unalived a 6-year-old boy and knifed up his 2 sisters? Let's talk about it. It was on a cold December night way back in 2015 when Ronald Exantis, a 32-year-old nurse from Indianapolis, decided to break into a stranger's house in Kentucky. The quiet night, everybody's sleeping. Big old grizzly bear walking through that bitch. And if you were sitting there asking yourself, how did he just walk his way right up into Tipton's house? The door wasn't unlocked, but that didn't give him the right to go straight into the kitchen and grab the butcher knife and just start knifing the little boy in his damn sleep. Like, just put yourself in her shoes real quick. Can you imagine getting woken up out your sleep to hear your little brother screaming in pain? You see this big ass black man over him just... Of course you're gonna put your hands on him. She's just getting thrown across the room for trying to protect her brother. Ends up getting knifed and hurt back herself. Now, of course, Big Papa Bear done heard all the commotion and his little young ones yelling and stuff, so he didn't run upstairs. But by the time he reached the top of the steps, Buddy had already finished doing what he was trying to do anyway. And he started running out. Pops right there. Pops started trying to find... Next thing you know, Pops get thrown across the motherfucking floor. He says about 10, 15 feet. I'm like, damn, did the other man have that little cuckoo powers? I mean, the worst part of it all is what happened in court. See, for whatever reason, the jury found him not guilty of actually unaliving the little boy, but found him guilty of assaulting the other members of the family. Said that the insanity plea was actually good enough and it made sense to where they really couldn't see why he did what he did. And let me tell you one more thing. When police called his ass, he started speaking gibberish, shit that didn't make any sense. Said that when he was driving, he seen the street name said Gray Street and immediately thought of Gray's Anatomy and just thought his ass had to start performing surgeries and shit. But what doesn't make any sense is, how do you know that house in particular had them kids in there? But I digress, because he was just released only after serving 8 years of his 20-year sentence. Said that he got let out for good behavior. What kind of good behavior can you have after you just unalived a boy that you never even met before? I mean, let's think about it honestly. If you insane enough to unalive a 6-year-old boy, are you even sane enough to be outside in the free world?